Alright, what's happening, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, host Jan. How you doing, friends? Good? I hope that. Thank you for joining me on today's video, and welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said about the Blues, giving you my opinion on it, but more importantly, asking for yours, and some potentially troubling news today, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we reflect on all headlines here on Chelsea News, and today is no different. Fabrizio Romano tweeting about Southampton coming in with a stern bid for Armando Broja. And I want to cite an element of Simon Johnson's piece in The Athletics regarding Chelsea Football Club. A good piece that's largely positive about Thomas Tuchel, but a troubling segment of it that I want to reference in today's video. Thanks for joining me. If you do enjoy the content, dropping a like is a way of showing your support. It takes a second click and it means a lot. And if you're yet to subscribe, you're most welcome to do so. And because Chelsea news is every single day and there's a lot of breaking news, make sure all notifications are turned on. So let's get straight into it. Let's look at this. Fabrizio Romano tweeting, understand Southampton are now expected to launch a £25 million record bid for Albanian striker Armando Broja, proposed to be submitted soon. Let's see Chelsea's position, as Thomas Tuchel is a big admirer of Broja. Quote, he's our player, end quote, Tuchel said a few days ago. Let's talk about this. Okay, so Armando Broja, we all love him, doing wonderful things at Southampton. People are comparing him to Diego Costa in how ruthless and direct he is playing. He's very young, he's an academy product. I think he wants to play for Chelsea. He followed the same route as Mason Mount in, playing for the development squad, going on loan to Vitesse, actually one-upping Mason Mount, and instead of going to a championship loan, went straight to a fairly decent Premier League loan and has muscled his way into the starting lineup. To the point where Southampton are willing to make a record bid for the Chelsea academy player. This is happening all over the gaff. There's Broja, Gallagher, there's others. There's many others. So Livramento's been sold, but there's like a bunch of Chelsea academy graduates around the Premier League. Gurhey, Lamptey. There's plenty. So we don't want to lose Armando Broja because he's excellent. Almost, until Lukaku's banging loads of goals and bullying defenders again, the recurring or sort of the consistent theme among the Chelsea fan base, the general consensus is love Broja, not love so much Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku cost 100 million. Broja is an academy product that, loves Chelsea. You can understand where the narrative's going to go from there. Now, Tuchel says he likes him. Tuchel's generally been backed at Chelsea so far, so you'd think we're pretty safe, right? But I worry. I worry because Chelsea's accounts has recently been presented and they've made like a pretty big loss despite winning the Champions League and selling some players and stuff. And Chelsea love selling academy products for money. It's just what they love. It's free money as far as they're concerned in a world that presents a very difficult financial climate. They sold Tomori for £26 million or something. Love that. They loved that. They sold Tammy Abraham for €40 million. Absolutely, they'll love that as well. Especially because they're down and out. If they can see free money for Armando Broja, they might look at Tuchel and be like, look, mate, Werner, Havertz, Lukaku, whoever else you're going to play down the middle. We're making free money here. Let us sell this guy. There's a chance. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just looking at the data presented. The fact how, what could happen here is this might be an opening bid for Southampton. An opening bid would be their record bid. So, God forbid, they might even go up. They might be what Chelsea might say, oh, look, he's really good, isn't he? What if we'll sell him for £28 million? To which they'd be rubbing their hands together. Before the season started, if you said to the Chelsea board, at the end of the season you can sell Broja for £28 million, they just rip your hand off. Unless you scored 37 Premier League goals and broke the record, they'd probably rip your hand off because that's how they work. And what they'll do is they'll probably sell him for £28 million and they'd be like, well, no, we're not stupid. We're going to put in a buyback clause for 40 million or 45 million. That becomes active in 2 years' time. That's what we got for Tammy Abraham. Like, we sold him for 40 million euros. I think we got a buyback for like 60 million or something in 2 years' time. It becomes active, so they can't like immediately lose their player. And Chelsea will be thinking they're very smart there, because if he becomes an elite Galactico player, he's going to be cheaper than Romelu Lukaku. But yes, you're right, viewer, listener, listening or watching the content now. We've got him now. He wants to play for Chelsea now. The coach likes him now. So don't sell him. The truth is, it's a difficult climate. We've got Romelu Lukaku, who just cost us 100 million. Even if we all agreed to sell him in the summer, Chelsea would make a gargantuan loss. I've spoken about this at length on this channel before. I think personally the only club that he could go to where Chelsea could make a decent amount back right now is Paris Saint-Germain, because they got a lot of money and Mbappe's probably going. He won't be able to go back to Italy. Chelsea aren't going to sell him to City, even though they wanted him the summer before last. It's going to be very, very difficult. And of course, we're going to talk about the other attackers in just a moment. Maybe some of those attackers are going. Maybe we'll be in a position where we can have both Broja and Lukaku, and maybe that's becoming more and more likely. We'll talk about Simon Johnson's piece and the attackers. In fact, let's do that now. Let's move over, because I've spoken about Broja at length. So I'm reading this article here from The Athletic from Simon Johnson. I urge you guys to go check this out, because it's a great piece. It's before I get into it, it's largely a positive piece talking about Thomas Tuchel's first year in charge at Chelsea and how it's been, positive and pretty like amazing story and story arc. Do you know what I mean? So contextually, I'd urge you guys to go check it out. I have read a troubling piece on Twitter. I think it was from Cy Phillips quoting it. So I wanted to have a look at the article, and I'll read you a small extract while urging you to go check out the article itself. In fact, I'll put a link to the article in the description so you can go check it out. So this article references players not being happy. I'm going to read you an extract in a second, but to give you some context first, that they felt like on top of each other, which is fair enough. A lot of clubs have. Chelsea played the most games. They've had congested fixture schedule, and the players feel like on top of each other. That's why when they had a couple of days off before Tottenham, they were so much more refreshed and played a lot better. And usually Tuchel makes them stay in the hotel the night before, but he says you can come in the late morning the day of the game, and it all seemed to work. And now they've got a week off to like go around the world and go on holiday and stuff, and clearly it's what the players needed. So that's good. It's important to note they're feeling like they're on top of each other and they're frustrated. So the article at this point references how perhaps Lukaku isn't happy and the Sky Italia interview, and then goes on. But it is believed the Belgian isn't the only one who is showing signs of discontent. Indeed, a source connected to one of the senior players paints a rather worrying picture. They claim the mood among many of Chelsea's attackers isn't good, to say the least, due to the way Tuchel uses and treats them. Okay, so let's pause. When it says uses and treats them, I think uses is like formation. You could argue a great example would be Ziyech being played as this inside 10. When he plays as a right mid, right winger, infinitely better. We've spoken about this before. In fact, I've done a video and spoken about Chelsea's dysfunctional attack. And I don't want to say Tuchel's misuse of the players. I think, because it is misuse, but I think it's largely Chelsea buying an erratic group of players that all play in different systems. And I've done a video on this, I called it before, so it's more about the dysfunction. And yes, misuse to a degree, but Tuchel has to pick a formation and side that works. The 3-4-3 won in the Champions League. You can't criticise Tuchel for picking something that's worked for him. You can't. So it's ultimately, you can understand from the players' positions, they're not being played how they feel like they can play well. And that's seemingly evident on the pitch. Plus, poor performances. I'm sure that we'll get into that in a second. And in terms of treated them, maybe public shaming with Lukaku, saying he's not playing well, saying all the attackers aren't playing well, which is true. I don't think he was unreasonable with that, Tuchel, but at the same time, you can understand why the players were maybe upset, at least to the way Tuchel uses and treats them. The situation has grown serious enough for some of them to start considering leaving in the summer. Tuchel doesn't hide his frustration towards players during games. His angst has been somewhat understandable due to Chelsea's inability to take chances in front of goal. This is the major factor in why their Premier League challenge is going... Well, Chelsea's Premier League challenge is gone, mate. One source points to this inconsistency, both in terms of selection and attacking roles, as the primary reason why none of Chelsea's forwards have been able to build significant rhythm or chemistry up on the pitch. Like I said before, no chemistry due to no continuity up front, So there's that. And another more concerning point of tension has been the way Tuchel talks to his attackers. The source described his manner as, quote, brutal, with players regularly subjected to a barrage of criticism for every wrong decision and every missed chance in matches in training. This is Chelsea, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be the best. Maybe they all need like an arm around their shoulder and Tuchel's doing it wrong. Fair enough, I can see to that. But dude, like, we won the Premier League with Conte. Conte, man! You feel like Tuchel's like rough on the side, on the touchline. Look at Conte, he'd literally jump inside your throat and like rip out your organs, man. Do you know what I mean? So like, damn. I'm not gonna read too much more because I want you guys to go and check this out. A consequence of this, the source claims, is Chelsea attackers are second guessing themselves, not playing on instinct, and worse, being afraid to try things and risk giving the ball away. I think pretty much that's everyone except maybe Mason Mount and Hakim Ziyech lately. The intensity of Tuchel's criticism has also created the impression, rightly or wrongly, for some, that the subsequent team selection decisions are born of emotion, rather than simply form and fitness. Now, there's much more in this article. It's so long. I've just read an extract there, so I urge you guys go and read it. But let's talk about this. So players not being happy, running off emotion. I don't believe that for a second. Tuchel is a very data-driven manager. Certainly, like, he clearly has fundamental stuff that he wants to base his game off, like high turnovers. He always talks about. He wants to turn over possession high up the pitch as much as possible. He wants to not concede big chances. And those are Chelsea's two fundamental things, certainly in his tenure. What we've done very well and what served us very well. I've spoken about this before. Seemingly up front, it's like vibes for attack. He doesn't seem to have that systemic way of scoring goals like, Guardiola, where they rotate this ball around the middle of the pitch and then you get it to the byline, cut back and tap in a goal like that. City have scored so many goals like that. We don't have something like that. We seem more largely vibes, so it's weird because players are too scared to express themselves, yet seemingly that's how we attack. We attack through just expression and vibes. What I do think is Tuchel is very intelligent. I think he does have negative traits that we haven't perhaps seen much at Chelsea because it's gone so well, and I think he's really wanted to change from PSG and Dortmund. I think he's really wanted to like evolve and be diplomatic and be quite meditative and agnostic, and I believe that, and I think he has done all that. But clearly, no one's perfect, and there's a few ways he needs to evolve to deal with the attackers. Like, for example, giving the players time off. He didn't need to. They didn't ask him for it. Those 2 days off. They didn't expect it. He just gave it to them, and it worked. So Tuchel, I imagine, will be reflecting on that and be like, damn, that worked. We played really well against Tottenham. Maybe I need to start implementing this more. Tuchel's just one man, and he's also living in this, like, post-pandemic world where we're all just trying to find our way and, figure out what's best. So we need to, like, have a bit of compassion ourselves and remember that sometimes, man. But players wanting to leave in the summer and they're not happy. So this goes back to almost Broja. If, for example, a couple of attackers go, maybe Broja comes in and plays in a two-striker system with Lukaku. Personally, I don't think Lukaku goes in the summer. He's our record signing. He's too much of an investment. Even if he wants to go, even if the club has some form of regret from getting him, I just don't think it's feasible, especially considering the financial loss that would probably be involved with selling Lukaku and the financial situation Chelsea are currently in. Ziyech would have been one of the players probably top of the list, 28 going on 29, highly rated around Europe. He's really like in his prime, probably worth a lot of money. Well, probably worth the money back that they bought him. And Chelsea are seemingly not building around him. But when he's playing in his natural position, when he's taking on the main man role, he looks like by far and away our best attacker now. It's funny how a spanner can be thrown in the works very, very quickly. I can imagine he was one of the unhappy players, but lately he's being played and he's scoring, and after the Tottenham game he looked very happy. I know this kind of like emotions can be fleeting, but he looked very happy. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with Kai Havertz, who's not been chosen at all recently, who'd been playing as a striker, but since Lukaku's come, he's not played at all. He was our record signing for £72 million. I personally love Kai Havertz. A lot of people love him. Not because he's banged loads of goals for us, and not even because he scored that goal in the Champions League final, because he's an amazing talent. He was one of like the players in Europe that everyone wanted. Yes, he came from Bayer Leverkusen, which isn't like, the trendiest club ever, but everyone wanted him. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, you had bloody Ralf Rangnick saying Chelsea have just bought, their own Johan Cruyff. The way he was, like, the last 2 seasons at Leverkusen, the way he was moving around, operating, gliding, assisting, scoring, he just looked like a magnificent player on the pitch and a clear standout, And Roman Abramovich really wanted him. I doubt he'll want to sell him. So there's that. Pulisic's big one. He looks way more happy with the national team than he does at Chelsea. I understand that. At Chelsea he's played wing backs both sides, I think. He's played as a false 9, which was awful. And even when he's playing in his preferred position, he doesn't look like he trusts himself. He's trying very hard, by the way, so no one can fault him for effort, Pulisic. He's just not been good, and I think largely it's because he just doesn't feel comfortable, trust himself, or feel happy, which is funny because he played under Tuchel, and he seemed quite happy when Tuchel arrived. And his best football at Chelsea was by 1,000 miles under Frank Lampard. And I actually think he really liked Frank Lampard. There's that moment when he's playing Twitch. Do you remember that video clip where Pulisic's playing Twitch and he's just calling Frank Lampard the GOAT? Do you know what I mean? And like the greatest player, and he's probably watched his goals like running into the box, and Pulisic scores a lot of goals like that. So I think Pulisic could go. I think Timo Werner could go. Timo knows the fans love him, but he's recently said in an interview, like, I don't know why. I miss goals and it's nice, but And I want Timo to succeed because he's just such a nice guy and he's a hard worker. But I just don't think, can you ever see Timo Werner scoring a lot of goals for Chelsea? I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Maybe in the next manager after Tuchel, but I don't want Tuchel to ever leave. So, do you know what I mean? It's very, very difficult. I think something's got to give. Let's bring it on home. One thing that we need to talk about is we need to just give Tuchel a chance. If Tuchel's given a proper chance, and he's kept happy, he can build something great at Chelsea. Right now, we won't get a better football manager than Thomas Tuchel, let that be said. And the concerning thing is if we do give him all that he wants, builds around him, and then he decides to like throw a wobbler and leave. Do you know what I mean? Then we're like, but we've built everything for you, Tuchel, rather than, we're alright with Chelsea because we got a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this. They're all talented, and generally, because they're a mix, some manager will be able to come in and do something with them, which used to serve us very well. But now, look at Liverpool, look at City, you need an ethos, a continued philosophy. We just don't have that. Anyway, it's been a long video, so I'm going to wind it in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do let me know. Comment down below and all that. Please do drop a like. It means a lot, and you're welcome to subscribe all. Enjoy the football. I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, bitch.